Part 168. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 1671. Chapter 1671, Running into Huo Yangzi's arms. Huo Yangzi's assistant finished sorting out the information and saw that she was still there, so he chased after her. Miss Nangong? Do you have anything else to do? Nangong Yu smiled and shook his head. It's okay, I have to wait for someone. Okay, then I'll take the first step. Goodbye. When everyone was gone, Nangong Yu slowly stood up. The situation is not good, because she seems to be having her period. Knowing that these 2 days are menstruation days, she also has pads in her bag, but she was so busy with cooperation matters that she forgot to prepare in advance. So, in short, all the calmness she had just now was just fake. Only when the people were gone did she have the nerve to go to the toilet. Nangong Yu looked for his destination in the corridor after coming out of the toilet. She knew that there was an independent lounge on each floor here, and almost no one came to the memory floor where she was. She planned to take a rest in the conference room on this floor, and by the way, she had to wait for her assistant to deliver her a new set of clothes. As soon as I opened the door and walked in, I heard a strange sound. She just walked inside and took a look inadvertently, and saw an indescribable scene. A woman with half-dressed clothes and a man in a suit. Yes, I'm sorry. Nangong Yu's face turned red with embarrassment, and he left in a hurry without even seeing the person clearly. She stepped on high heels in the corridor, and the clear sound struck her heart. She, Nangong Yu, is smart and brave and has seen the world, but she has never seen such a scene that makes people blush and make her heart beat, which really makes her ashamed. She wanted to leave this place quickly. But because the floor is too high, the elevator has just gone down, and it will take a while to wait for the elevator to come up. She stamped her feet anxiously. Ding dash. Finally, she waited until the elevators opened. As soon as she stepped in, when the elevator door was about to close, a strange man broke in. The man has a majestic appearance and a good-looking appearance, and he looks somewhat familiar. When the man's eyes fell on her face, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and there was a sharp light in his black eyes. It is not difficult to guess that this person is one of the protagonists she met in the lounge just now. Nangong Yu was beating her drum in her heart, hoping to get downstairs quickly. At this moment, the assistant called to look for her. She held the phone as if grasping a life-saving straw. Finally, she didn't have to be so embarrassed. She always had to change her clothes before going out. Ding dash. The elevator door opened again, and Nangong Yu seemed to be relieved. But the moment she stepped out of the elevator door, the smile on her face froze. Why are there so many reporters here? Nangong Yu's external image has always been elegant and generous. If she usually faced reporters, she could be calm and composed, but now she is afraid that others will take pictures of her behind her skirt. If she was photographed and made headlines, she would definitely be embarrassed to death. At this moment, Nangong Yu decided to get back into the elevator. But the man inside also walked out. As soon as she stepped back, she was caught off guard and ran into the man's arms. The camera lights in front of me are flashing. Nangong Yu was shocked when he vaguely heard someone in the crowd shouting Mr. Huo. She finally remembered why this person looked familiar. Isn't it Huo Yangzi who has been so popular these days? Because most of the previous photos were from the side, she didn't recognize her from the front at first glance. Now that everything is put together, Nangong Yu really wants to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. She would very much like to see Huo Yangzi, but definitely not on such an occasion. How long do you want to hang on to me? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 1672. Chapter 1672. A strange woman with both talent and beauty. How long are you going to hang on to me? Yes, I'm sorry. Nangongyu was extremely embarrassed, but she didn't dare to turn around. Standing away from Huo Yangzi's arms in a strange posture, the elevator door had already been closed, and even if she pressed the button, she had to stand here and wait. But standing with Huo Yangzi is like a public execution. When she finally got into the elevator, she didn't expect Huo Yangzi to follow her in. Damn it, are she and Huo Yangzi so destined? Why are you here too? Huo Yangzi narrowed his eyes slightly. If you don't get into the elevator, why don't you stand there and act as a mannequin for them? Haha, Nangongyu smiled. Mr. Huo is really good at joking. She really had a headache. It was a rare sight in her life that Huo Yangzi had seen her in such embarrassing situations. It was because of some grudge she had in her previous life. It is said that Nangongyu of the Nangong group is smart and courageous in official matters, gentle and polite in dealing with others, and has emerged from the mud without being stained. When I saw him today, there was not a single word of truth. Mr. Huo, what does this mean? You rely on me in front of reporters, and the headline tomorrow will be none other than you, Nangongyu. Nangongyu was convinced that Huo Yangzi must have misunderstood that all this was a deliberate arrangement by her. Hearing what Huo Yangzi said about her, she was not angry, and explained calmly, Mr. Huo, you misunderstood. What happened just now was not intentional on my part, it was just a coincidence. Really? Then it seems that Miss Nangong and I are really destined. There are so many coincidences. Nangongyu listened quietly, with a faint smile on his face. Most people who sit in Nangongyu's position are called strong women, but few outsiders use this term for Nangongyu because she feels too special. Her personality is quiet and indifferent, her appearance is soft and pleasant, she has great wisdom and is full of talent. She is really a very strange existence in the business world. Huo Yangzi became extra interested in her, thinking that this woman gave people a really light and calm feeling, which made people want to try to hold her tightly in the palm of their hands. The assistant finally came over, and Nangongyu felt much more at ease. Huo Yangzi was not following her either, but before parting, Huo Yangzi left a special message for her. Tomorrow we will conduct a preliminary screening of the plans of each company. If Miss Nangong is interested, you can come. Nangongyu did not respond. She took her assistant to the toilet. Originally, she had to change her clothes because she was embarrassed by her menstrual period. Unexpectedly, her change provided another explosive point for entertainment reporters. Those reporters reversed the order of the photos before and after she changed clothes, implying that she was being manipulated by Huo Yangzi. Once this news is released, if the Nangong Group's planning project is selected, people will definitely be criticized. General Manager, the chairman called just now and asked how you plan to handle this matter. Nangongyu had a severe headache. This time's events were really a pile-up of coincidences one after another, which made her really hard to guard against. When the assistant came to confirm the itinerary with her, she remembered the profound words Huo Yangzi left. Huo Yangzi is well known, and she has also seen with her own eyes that Huo Yangzi's private life is chaotic. She didn't like dealing with such people, but on the other hand, she had to admire Huo Yangzi's ability. She is a person who keeps company and private affairs very separate. Although there are a lot of reports about her from outside, she will not hide it and dare not face it. She will still go to Huo Yangzi's invitation. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1673. Chapter 1673. A heartwarming moment. According to the address Huo Yangzi told her, Nangongyu found out when she arrived that it was actually a tea house with an elegant environment. Selecting a plan in a tea house. This man is really strange. Mr. Huo, Miss Nangong is here. The person who let her in was the assistant from yesterday's meeting, named Luoan. Nangong Yu was flattered. This was Huo Yangzi's personal assistant, so serving her made her feel uneasy. After Nangong Yu entered, Huo Yangzi's personal assistant Luoan left, and the assistant she brought with her was also blocked outside. This is the first time for Nangong Yu to meet someone who doesn't act according to common sense. However, she did not encounter the same embarrassing situation as yesterday, and she is now calm and composed. Mr. Huo, we meet again. Well, sit down. Huo Yangzi didn't say anything more to her, but just pointed to the seat opposite and asked her to sit down. The next time, Huo Yangzi began to read every planning document carefully in front of her. Nangong Yu has seen many people, but he can't figure him out. Huo Yangzi has been dealing with official matters and it is not easy to interrupt him. Fortunately, Nangong Yu is a person with a very good personality. Even if she doesn't do anything but just sip tea, she can calm down. Just like this, handsome men and beautiful women sit face to face in an elegant tea house. Looking through the glass from a distance, it looks like a quiet and perfect painting. I really want to take a photo and record it. There are many plans, but Huo Yangzi's reading speed is much faster than ordinary people. Nangong Yu sat across from him quietly, not making any strange noises during the process, and just watched quietly. She is observing. Observe every subtle movement of Huo Yangzi, and don't even miss his expression. The man had noticed it a long time ago, but he seemed to be deliberately indulging her. Similarly, people like Huo Yangzi, except for deliberately showing their expressions, are calm at other times, and it is useless to look at them. So, Nangong Yu gave up. She drinks tea by herself and looks out the window when she is bored. Since she was a child, she liked to sit quietly and read a book. When she was tired and rested to relax her eyes, she would stand by the window and look outside. The room in her home was in a good direction. When she looked up, she could see the blue sky and white clouds. The quiet and beautiful feeling often made her addicted. Even now, she looked out the window. In addition to looking up at the clouds in the sky, she could also look at the potted plants on the window sill. There are tiger-bearded calamus placed outside the tea house. She has seen a description of this plant in a book. Acorus calamus is also tolerant of semi-shade and exposure to sunlight. The green leaves are elegant and slender, but very tough. The potted plants here grow very well. I think the people in the tea house will take care of them and cultivate them properly. Huo Yangzi flipped through the pages for a long time and asked, how likely does Miss Nangong think her plan book is to be selected? But there was no answer for a long time. He looked up and saw Nangong Yu turning sideways, holding his chin with one hand and looking out the window, his eyes falling on the potted plant on the window sill. She seemed to have seen something treasured, and she observed it very carefully. Huo Yangzi stopped turning pages involuntarily. At this moment, the tea room truly became quiet. It was the gentle and graceful woman who became the only beauty in the tea room. Her profile is extremely beautiful, with skin as white as snow, naturally closed cherry pink lips that are tender and glossy, a high bridge of nose with perfect curvature, and long eyelashes that blink like small fans. If anyone sees such a scene, it will be difficult not to be moved. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1674. Chapter 1674. What are you looking at? You look good. I don't know how long it took, but Nangong Yu finally seemed to notice that someone was staring at him. She suddenly looked back, her eyes as bright as stars meeting Huo Yangzi's deep black eyes. Naturally, she showed her most natural smile to Huo Yangzi. True and beautiful. Huo Yangzi opened her thin lips lightly and asked something different from her own temperament. What are you looking at, so seriously? Nangong Yu sat upright and faced him, his voice soft, I'm looking at the tiger-bearded calamus. A potted plant, how beautiful it is. Nangongyu nodded slightly, it looks good. Then she spoke slowly, Acorus calamus belongs to the genus Acorus of the family Araceae. Together with orchids, daffodils, and chrysanthemums, it is known as the four elegant flowers and grasses during the Dragon Boat Festival. It is a magical herb to prevent epidemics and exorcise evil spirits. The reputation of the talented woman is true, and any potted plant is said to be so beautiful by her. Huo Yangzi chuckled, it is said that people who sit in high positions have endless things to do and can't remember their thoughts every day. This is the first time I have seen someone stare at a pot of grass and appreciate it for so long. Everyone has their own hobbies. Being able to do other things to relieve stress after busy work is also a good way of self-regulation. Hobby, he really doesn't have that thing. Since he was a child, he has been told that being the grandson of the Huo family has to shoulder heavy responsibilities. Everything he has learned is to one day be able to shoulder the heavy responsibility of the Huo family. As for boring things like hobbies, they don't exist in Huo Yangzi's dictionary at all. By the way, has Mr. Huo read all the plans? No. Then, you continue. You continue to look at your plan, and I will continue to look at my potted plants. This is good, Nangongyu thought. But Huo Yangzi did not follow her wishes. He raised the corner of his mouth and had his heart in mind. Huo Yangzi threw all the remaining plans in front of her and said casually, I'll leave the rest to you. You can look at it as you like, choose as you like, or choose none at all. Nangongyu was surprised. Huo Yangzi meant to leave the choice to her? Doesn't it mean giving her the opportunity to eliminate her opponent? Mr. Huo, what do you mean? Are you not afraid that I am only out for my own selfish interests? Huo Yangzi raised his eyebrows, leaned back lazily on the chair behind him, and said in a casual tone, it doesn't matter, if only Nangong Group's plan is left on the table, then it will be the partner chosen by Huo Enterprises. Nangongyu was full of doubts. This man can actually decide the long-term partner of Huo's enterprise in such a childish way? The cooperation project of a multinational group is an opportunity that many people cannot strive for. Huo Yanxi simply gave it to her? Nangongyu stared at the planning book on the table and thought deeply. At this moment, Huo Yangzi was also observing her. He wanted to see what kind of choice this woman would make. After a while, Nangongyu took out the Nangong Group's plan from the many plans on the table, placed it on the table, and pushed it in front of Huo Yangzi. She said, since Mr. Huo trusts us so much, our Nangong Group will definitely live up to your expectations. On behalf of everyone in the Nangong Group, I, Nangongyu, would like to express my gratitude to you. She was still smiling, confident but not arrogant. Huo Yangzi's eyes narrowed. Sit up again, pick up the Nangong Group's planning document, and sign his name with a wave of his hand. He stood next to Nangongyu, and his magnetic voice reached her ears. Miss Nangong, are you sure you're going to hide the news from me this time? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1675. Chapter 1675 Mr. Huo, buying clothes. Miss Nangong, are you sure you're going to hide the news from me this time? I thought Nangongyu would avoid or refute, but she only said, the shopping mall is like a battlefield, and strength is the most important thing. Every word focuses on business matters, and not a single sentence is personal. She is indeed a smart and unique girl. This time, Huo Yangzi made a special statement for Nangongyu, publicly explaining that the photos taken that day were just a scandal deliberately fabricated by someone. People like Huo Yangzi don't even bother to lie. Since he himself speaks, naturally no one will use this matter to slander Nangongyu. Nangongyu thinks that Huo Yangzi is not as bad as what others say. In addition to his good abilities, he seems to be quite humane. But soon, Nangongyu denied her opinion of him. After the two parties signed a long-term cooperation agreement, Huo Yangzi began to meet with her for various reasons. The key point is that every time we talk about work time, she has no reason to refuse. Nangongyu felt that by cooperating with Huo's enterprise, he felt like he had access to Huo Yangzi's complete set. Fortunately, she has great patience and can deal with it calmly no matter what Huo Yangzi does. However, today is different. The place Huo Yangzi asked her to go turned out to be a high-end clothing store. She knew this brand. It was a famous brand imported from abroad and had been in fashion newspapers. She just didn't know what Huo Yangzi was bringing her here for. "Mr. Huo, do you want to buy clothes? This brand has different sections for men and women. There are women's and men's styles in the store." Nangongyu's first thought was that Huo Yangzi wanted to buy clothes. But Huo Yangzi took her to the ladies section. As soon as Huo Yangzi entered, his aura was in full swing, causing the salesperson to enthusiastically give them guidance. "Give her the latest model you have to try." As soon as Huo Yangzi opened her mouth, the shop assistants milling around brought 3 different styles of skirts in different colors. "Miss, look at this blue skirt, it's fresh and elegant. Miss, look at this black skirt, it's elegant and dignified. Look at this red V-neck." One skirt after another was pushed in front of Nangongyu, and she didn't know which one to choose. The point is, why did Huo Yangzi suddenly bring her to buy clothes? "Mr. Huo, what do you mean? Ms. Nangong works hard and brings you here to relax. There are many ways to relax, let's try another one. I just want to give you clothes. No reward for no merit. Miss Nangong, please be humble. The benefits you have created for our company this time are of extraordinary value. 2 pieces of clothing are nothing." From Huo Yangzi's tone, it could be heard that he was determined to buy clothes for her. Nangongyu has met all kinds of people, but he has never met anyone like Huo Yangzi who uses everything at work as an excuse and gives you no reason not to believe it. Since he wanted to give it away, she would take it. Under the guidance of the clerk, Nangongyu casually took a blue skirt and entered the dressing room. Huo Yangzi was sitting on the sofa, her slender legs folded, but her posture looked elegant. This man is simply a walking hormone, exuding his charm all the time. Several shop assistants, and even the occasional customer who came in, couldn't help but look at him a few more times, and some even took photos of him. But he will be responsible for finding those people and asking them to delete the photos in their hands. He knew that his boss did not want Miss Nangong to become a hot topic for no reason. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1676. Chapter 1676. Your ears have a fever. In the past, someone took photos of Huo Yangzi with other women and posted them on the internet, and they would be hyped up quickly. His boss never cared about this. But Nangongyu is an exception. Because the boss is so handsome and charming, he is too difficult to be an assistant. He has to be responsible for following orders at all times and cleaning up the scene. Although there were relatively few guests here, Huo Yangzi still felt annoyed and directly asked Hien to send a message. They are not allowed to go upstairs. I will be responsible for the damage caused. Yes. Because of Huo Yangzi's request, even the clerk was not allowed in. Nangongyu didn't come out of the locker room for a long time. Huo Yangzi waited for a long time and finally walked towards the locker room with her long legs. I also happened to hear Nangongyu asking from inside, "Is there anyone there?" Huo Yangzi didn't answer. Nangongyu waited for a long time and no one responded, so he opened the door of the dressing room and stuck his little head out. At this glance, Huo Yangzi's eyes met. From the open side seam, you can see that Nangongyu has put on the skirt. "Come out." Um, can you call a store clerk for me first? The zipper on the back seems to be stuck. The zipper at the back was stuck, and she couldn't pull it up or take it off, which was why it took so long. Huo Yangzi laughed out loud when he heard this. He did not go to the clerk, but walked directly towards Nangongyu. Nangongyu felt a little panicked when she saw the man walking towards her so openly. Mr. Huo. Huo Yangzi hooked her fingers and said, I'll help you. Nangongyu shook his head and refused, no, please help me find a clerk. They are not here. I have reserved the venue here. No one will come up today without my instructions. You. Hearing the person's rogue tone, even the good-tempered Nangongyu became anxious and almost blurted out bad words. But she still endured it and could not get into trouble in front of the enemy. Miss Nangong, it's just a matter of unzipping, I won't do anything to you. Nangongyu. Fortunately, the skirt she was wearing was well worn, and there was also a backless version, so it didn't matter if she just unzipped it. So, she turned her back to Huo Yangzi, then I'll trouble Mr. Huo. She didn't see that the corners of Huo Yangzi's mouth turned up even more obviously. He unzipped it in 2 clicks and did not do any other bad things to her. Nangongyu felt more relaxed. When she closed the door of the dressing room again, she heard Huo Yangzi's voice coming from outside, Miss Nangong, your ears are feverish. She subconsciously touched her ears, and it was indeed very hot. It must be because of Huo Yangzi's behavior just now, her shyness is reflected in her red ears. When she changed back into her own clothes and went out, she saw Huo Yangzi holding the bright red skirt and handing it to her, try this. Nangongyu then took a closer look. The design of the upper body of the skirt was a bit special, and she really liked it. A woman is born to love beauty, and when she encounters a beautiful dress, she is not willing to miss it. There was no accident this time. She put on the red dress during the normal changing time. She came out of the dressing room, looked at the full-length mirror next to her, and turned around in the mirror. Her waist-length hair was flying as she turned in circles, and the large hem of her red skirt formed a flower-shaped arc in the air. This scene was stunning. Huo Yangzi approached her step by step, walking very slowly and lightly, for fear of disturbing her. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1677. Chapter 1677 Fascinated by her. Nangongyu turned around twice and saw Huo Yangzi standing behind her in the mirror, so she looked back and smiled, seeking other people's opinions, does it look good? Nice. Huo Yangzi never thought that one day he would be obsessed with a woman. In his previous thinking, men and women were only divided into those with use value and those without use value. He had always clearly planned everything and had everything under control. He likes the feeling of having power, because he can easily control others, which makes him feel safe. So when Nangongyu appeared, he had a desire to conquer. He thought that he would not be influenced by anyone. But he has already lost his mind twice in front of Nangongyu. The first time was in the tea room. She quietly stared at the beautiful side of the calamus, which was as beautiful as a flower. The second time was just now. Her simple turn seemed to be flying, her black hair was like a waterfall, and her red dress bloomed like a flower in an instant, which was stunning. This woman is determined by him. Huo Yangzi had a strange smile on his face again and praised, it's beautiful. Nangongyu immediately took 2 photos in the mirror. She approached the mirror and looked carefully forward and backward. This V-neck red dress is long, from the shoulder strap design to the neckline, it shows off her graceful figure, yet dignified. Perhaps because of her weak temperament, the clothes she tried to wear were all light-colored, and there were few dark-colored ones in her wardrobe. She fell in love with this red dress today. Now that it fits her, she is sure to buy it. That's it? Nangongyu agreed with Huo Yangzi's aesthetics for the first time. She was going to change out of her skirt, but Huo Yangzi wouldn't let her. Just wear this. Huh, we'll work later, isn't this good? If you like to wear a good-looking skirt, you should also consider the occasion. This skirt is bright and elegant, and it is suitable for wearing to a banquet. Just as she was thinking this, she heard Huo Yangzi's voice fall into her ears, "Come with me to a banquet later." How come she hasn't heard of any banquet recently? According to her status as Nangong Yu, if there is any banquet in the circle, she will not be missed, right? Only later did Nangong Yu find out that the banquet was actually hosted by Huo's company. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but Huo Yangzi didn't send her an invitation from the Nangong group. Are you taking her with you now? That was deliberately hiding it from her. This man's mind is really complicated. Nangong Yu thought so. Recently, Nangong Group signed a cooperation agreement with Huo Enterprises, but her failure to show up has only aroused criticism. She took Huo Yangzi's car to go with him, but she didn't want to attend as Huo Yangzi's female companion. Huo Yangzi seemed to see through her mind and put her at the parking spot. "Mr. Huo, it would be better if you could come in later." She smiled at Huo Yangzi and waved away. She entered the banquet first. She is extremely familiar with this kind of business banquet. Another thing she is even more familiar with is looking for Ye Qingfeng in crowded places. That gentleman always easily becomes the focus of everyone. Nangong Yu walked towards him, and Ye Qingfeng also saw her. Ye Qingfeng immediately said a few words to the person next to him and ended the chat. Ye Qingfeng looked at Nangong Yu and admired from the bottom of his heart, you are a little special today. Brother Qingfeng, do you think I am suitable for this color? Are you or is so beautiful that she can wear anything? The author has something to say. In fact, Ye Qingfeng and Nangong Yu's personalities are somewhat similar. The tenderness between the two of them is so beautiful. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1678. Chapter 1678 Love Rival. Are you or is so beautiful that she can wear anything? His gentle words are always beautiful. The night breeze smiles, making people feel like a spring breeze. Nangong Yu smiled gracefully and touchingly. So when these two extremely gentle people stand together, the visual effect is simply not good. Those who are familiar with them all know that these two families have been friends for many years, and they have always thought that the two would get together. But after so many years, everyone has gradually understood that the relationship between these two is really a simple brother and sister. Otherwise, based on their relationship and tacit understanding, they would have been together long ago. It won't attract so many people's hearts. I just took 2 photos and sent them to them. What do you think? Xiao Yuer said. She must have praised you to the highest level, and for a long time. Haha, she covered her lips and smiled softly, nodding. Brother Qingfeng is indeed the person who understands Xiao Yuer best. The two of them gradually stood to the side and chatted familiarly. However, apart from official matters, the common topic between them is Beiji Yu. Nangong Yu first mentioned, I heard that she has been doing final design recently and is very busy. Well, she said she lacks inspiration recently, and now she calls me every night and asks me to give her inspiration. When talking about that little girl, Ye Qingfeng is always a little more gentle than usual. That's because Xiao Yuer just wants to talk to you more. I know, there's really nothing I can do about that girl. She said it in a very doting tone. Yes, brother Qingfeng loves Xiao Yuer so much. No wonder there are so many people chasing her in school, but she can't like any of them. A lot. That's right, so brother Qingfeng, you have to take good care of our Xiao Yuer, lest she is simply deceived. Nangong Yu occasionally used some tricks to provoke him, trying to find out Ye Qingfeng's thoughts. But Ye Qingfeng was so good at hiding himself that they never dared to explain their thoughts. At this time, Huo Yangzi appeared at the banquet, causing another commotion. From the moment he stepped into the door, his eyes began to search for a certain woman in the venue. No matter who came to toast and talk to him with wine, he refused. Finally, target the window. But he found that there was someone else standing next to Nangong Yu. The two of them were talking to each other face to face. Judging from their facial expressions, they seemed to be having a great time talking to each other. He had seen this man when he was checking Nangong Yu's information, Ye Feng, the leader of the Ye group. He still remembered that the information mentioned that this man's behavior was as if he was carved out of the same mold as Nangong Yu. It's just a matter of gender. However, the difference in gender means that this is a strong love rival. Huo Yangzi strode towards the two of them, not caring that other people's eyes were following her. Resisting the urge to pull this woman to his side to declare his sovereignty, he called Nangong Yu, Miss Nangong. Nangong Yu didn't know the complicated thoughts in Huo Yangzi's heart, so he just smiled at him politely and said, Mr. Huo, you are here. It seems that you and Mr. Huo are quite familiar with each other. Well, because we often come across cooperation matters. The banquet is about to begin, are you two planning to hide here? If I'm lucky enough to be invited by Mr. Huo to attend tonight's banquet, I won't hide away. Ye Qingfeng and Nangong Yu smiled at each other and entered the venue in tacit understanding. Huo Yangzi's face darkened. Nangong Yu, this woman actually ignored him because of another man. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1679. Chapter 1679 The First Dance. At the banquet hosted by the Huo family, Huo Yangzi will of course start the first dance. Everyone on the scene saw that he did not bring a female companion today, and they still had some small expectations in their hearts. Girls of the right age were looking forward to being invited by Huo Yangzi, and some men who came specially to visit their relatives also hoped that their daughters or juniors could be selected. But Huo Yangzi wants to play a game with them. Someone will control the lights at will. Whoever the light falls on the head will be the luckiest girl tonight. The game started, and everyone's eyes followed the movement of the light. From left to right, without stopping. Until Huo Yangzi, who had his back to the stage, shouted stop, the light was fixed and evenly illuminated Nangong Yu's whole body. Hearing the sighs in the venue, Huo Yangzi, who had his back to the stage, raised a meaningful smile at the corner of his mouth. Everything is under his control. Then, everyone saw the proud man turn around and walk toward Nangong Yu delicately. Huo Yangzi, who was wearing a crisp black suit, stood next to Nangong Yu, who was wearing an elegant dress. Their appearance and temperament were inexplicably matched. Huo Yangzi stretched out his hand to her, but Nangong Yu could only accept it. Obviously it was their first time dancing together, but they seemed to have a perfect understanding, without any mistakes. Huo Yangzi hugged her slender waist and praised, "You dance well." "Thanks." Huo Yangzi's faint gaze fell on her face, and Nangong Yu noticed it. She just inadvertently raised her eyes and met Huo Yangzi's deep black eyes. With such a handsome face that made people and gods angry, it was indeed very attractive, and her heart beat faster unconsciously. Nangong Yu looked away guiltily, feeling annoyed in his heart. What was she doing just now? He actually became a nymphomaniac towards Huo Yangzi. Even though it only lasted a few seconds, this was a mistake she had never made in her life. She had seen all kinds of people, so how could she be shy because of one face? Nangong Yu was preoccupied with two things. He couldn't keep up with his dance steps and stepped on Huo Yangzi's feet. When she got close to Huo Yangzi, she quickly apologized to him in a voice that the two of them could hear, "I'm sorry." But I heard Huo Yangzi chuckle lightly, "It doesn't matter, I'm very happy." Huh, she was a little confused. As the music was coming to an end, Huo Yangzi brought her over with a strong hand, and the two of them leaned closely together. I'm glad you were distracted by me. A low, magnetic voice spread in her ears, which was uniquely alluring. After the dance, the audience burst into applause. Nangongyu kept the surface calm and quickly escaped from Huo Yangzi. When she came off the stage, the first person she wanted to look for was naturally Ye Qingfeng. Ye Qingfeng also appeared beside her in time. You just. Brother Qingfeng, I'm a little flustered. Drink some water first. Ye Qingfeng handed her the warm water he had just prepared. Nangongyu drank a whole cup directly, and then his mood slowly returned to calm. How are you? I'm fine. That man seems to be interested in you. Ye Qingfeng put it bluntly, men always know a little more about men. Nangongyu nodded. After recent events, she could see it even if she was stupid. It is true that I am interested, but how sincere it is hard to say. The dance has started. Xiao Yuer will dance with her brother for the second dance. As an older brother, he always has to protect his younger sister. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1680. Chapter 1680. Huo Yangzi is jealous of the king. If Nangongyu and Huo Yangzi have a tacit understanding in dancing, then her and Ye Qingfeng's coordination is really a natural fit. Huo Yangzi was holding a glass of red wine and saw the scene of the two people together, and his eyes seemed to be burning with anger. No wonder she ran away in such a hurry after getting off him. It turned out that she was going to find her childhood sweetheart, Brother Qingfeng. This woman's thoughts turned out to be elsewhere. Of course, he is not the only one who is feeling angry. Nangongyu had already returned to his normal state of mind, but was swayed by Huo Yangzi's intense gaze. Brother Qingfeng, now our Nangong group has a cooperation with Huo Yangzi, but I don't want to get entangled with him like this. Is you are afraid of him? It's not that I'm afraid, I just think that he is too difficult and moody. No one can see through his mind. I'm afraid that I won't be able to follow his wishes and cause trouble to the family. Let me go and tell my godfather that the company has recently asked him to keep an eye on me. Xiao Yuer said that she wants to go on a trip to collect stories, so why don't you go with her? Okay, that's a good idea. If Nangongyu went to tell Nangong Luo would naturally not refuse, but he would definitely ask her daughter if anything happened. But if Ye Qingfeng knocks from the side, Nangong Luo will think that his daughter is too tired from work and can't even stand by others and please. In this way, she can escape for a while. Having made up her mind, Nangongyu felt relaxed all of a sudden. She smiled at Ye Qingfeng. This is a habitual act of personal kindness or gratitude. But in Huo Yangzi's eyes, that's not the case. Nangongyu was hardly so relaxed in front of him. It seemed that the man named Ye Qingfeng had Nangongyu's trust. He was so jealous that he almost crushed the wine glass in his hand. At this time, a woman came over and said in a coquettish tone, "Mr. Huo, don't you feel bored drinking alone here?" Huo Yangzi stared at her. She was wearing heavy makeup. Huo Yangzi felt that this woman's nose and eyes could hardly be seen clearly. He raised his head again and glanced at the natural-looking Nangongyu, and suddenly felt like he was washing his eyes. But this woman obviously didn't notice Huo Yangzi's dislike for him, and even handed him a glass of red wine. "Mr. Huo, last time you told Bai that you would come to Bai again, but it's been a long time and you haven't given it to me." A phone call. The woman who called herself Bai coquettishly acted coquettishly in front of Huo Yangzi, expressing in words that they had met before and were even ambiguous. But Huo Yangzi didn't remember knowing this woman at all. Huo Yangzi looked disdainful. "Looking for you? Hey, you don't know what kind of thing you are. It just so happens that he is angry and has nowhere to vent his anger right now." The woman knocked on the door herself to vent his anger. Bai Bei's face turned red and blue after being scolded by him. This man is really turning his back on others. Mr. Huo, you forgot that there is still. I'm warning you, I'm in a bad mood right now. If you say one more word, I'll make sure someone throws you out. You, humph, Bai Bei reluctantly stepped on her high heels and left. Huo Yangzi seems to be on fire now, and whoever bangs will be burned. Even Assistant Hian hid far away. Hian is a smart man, and he knows that there is probably only one person in the room who can extinguish this fire. Hian thought for a while and went to invite Nangong Yu shamelessly. Miss Nangong, can you take a moment to speak? The author has something to say. Huo Yangzi's fried hair is quite cute. End of this chapter.